kind of finish the year with a win. And plus, to keep the bucket, it's always good to beat a rival, right?
Absolutely. You don't ever want to end the season on a loss. So I just think some positivity going into the off season. One more time to play in front of Ross 8 and take care of the home field, and to win an in-state rival, and it's a trophy game. To keep a trophy would definitely be positive moving into the off season.
You talked a little bit in the post game Saturday about lamenting allowing a touchdown on the team, Minnesota's first drive, Northwestern's first drive. Just talk about that and maybe, again, sort of address maybe what you think you can do to tighten that up and prevent that from happening.
Yeah, obviously, like the Minnesota week, what it was like 4 plays, touchdown, and then same thing. This past weekend, and we tried different things. Like we had a start fast period in the week. We were going to take the ball regardless if we'd have won the toss. So it worked out how we wanted it to with them deferring to see if that helped, and it didn't. We had two MEs that led to explosive plays and ultimately a touchdown. Where we didn't see the tackle over and get the front knocked, so we had an open A gap for the touchdown. We'll continue to find different ways to start fast defensively. I do think obviously they settled into it and played really well for a long stretch, and then just had some mishaps toward the end, and that's really been the theme defensively the last couple games, where you play good for long stretches and it's like 3 plays. But the thing is on defense is if you have 3 bad plays, that's 21 points, right? Where offensively you got 3 bad plays, you're punting. So we got to understand that as a defense, just the intensity and the focus it takes to play as sound as we can play for 4 quarters.
Did you realize Purdue is number 1 in the Big Ten in fourth down attempts with 27? You just kind of talk about that, and does that surprise you at all?
Well, I think it's partly because we've been a lot of 4th and short situations. I think a lot of times some of those teams on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1 are getting first downs, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you kind of take every game for what it is. Felt like this past week I made the same type of decisions we made against Minnesota, and they ended up in touchdowns. And this week we didn't get in there, and so was also knew that defensively we'd be able to stop them and get the ball back. And with where we were offensively, with how thin we were like front and 2 new quarterbacks in there, just didn't know how often we'd be able to get down there to put points on the board. And I was still going back and looking at it. I thought those were the right moves to make.
Just now that you've had a chance to digest the film, just what you thought of the quarterbacks, Bennett Meredith and Ryan Brown, and how you used them. In hindsight, would you want to use them any different? Would you want to maybe go with Ryan longer, or what? Just talk about that QB situation.
Yeah, I thought Ryan played a little more confident, and he adds a little different element with his ability to run and extend plays. So we knew going into the game that we'd have to be able to run the football in order to put points on the board and give us a chance to win, right? And so I think that also catered to Ryan's strengths. You look at what we were available from a roster standpoint up front. I was proud of the way those guys are battling. You got your backup center playing right tackle, your 3rd string center playing left guard. Musa came back, and he was supposed to be an emergency-only tackle situation, but Ben Farrell goes through warm-ups, and he can't go. And for those guys to go back-to-back weeks with 300 yards rushing, like we knew that was going to be the way we had to play in order to have a chance to win it. We just didn't play clean enough or disciplined enough for 4 quarters. Still had a chance to win it there at the end, but when your margin of error is that small, you can't turn the ball over 4 times. You can't have mental errors on defense that lead to touchdowns. You got to play cleaner, and that was to me why we didn't win the game, is we didn't do enough from a discipline standpoint. I thought they fought their tails off and played tough and physical, but didn't play clean enough to win that game.
Ron, you talked about this a couple weeks ago, but when teams are having the kind of season that you're having, sometimes the fan base drifts off, and you've had some great crowds this year despite that. How much does that give you a boost going into the last game, knowing, hey, it's still going to be an electric atmosphere? You know, the fans are still, on board with this thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I love this place, right? You got a passionate and emotional fan base that that also has like a awareness of sort of what's going on. You know what I mean? And I get like people are frustrated and disappointed, as are we, right? We're frustrated, disappointed, and I was talking to my parents the other day, and I'm like, I'm like the biggest LeBron fan, and I can't tell you how many times I've cussed him out on TV, right? Like just as a fan, like you get frustrated. I feel like this fan base is sort of that way, where they see what's happening on the field. We're in tight ball games. We have hit the injury bug like nobody's business. And you're dealing with brand new schemes, offense, defense, special teams. And still no excuses, right? Like there are plenty of games out there where I feel like we should have won, and that falls on my shoulders. But I do think that we are continuing to improve as a program, and the way we're running things. I promise you, we're going to win a lot of games. I promise you that this our coaching staff was going to hit the recruiting trail tough and precise, and we're getting we're starting to get the support we need from a resource standpoint, and so it'll look right next year. I promise you. And I'm looking forward to this weekend. Being a microcosm of what's to come in the future.
Kind of going off that, the guys you do have, it's tough, especially for seniors, when a new staff comes in, and most of those guys didn't commit to you. They committed to a different scheme, a different coach. Last game in Ross-Ade for some of these guys, how big have they been in hopefully turning this thing into the future?
Oh, they've been awesome. They've completely bought in, embraced the staff and the changes with open arms. Obviously, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows, right? Every individual has their personal opinions, and but the guys that stuck with it and stayed and have really put their head down and went to work, like they have been rewarded with opportunities on the field, and so they have helped us lay the foundation for the way we need to operate moving forward, and they've been good examples for the young guys that we have in our program.
I want to talk about one of those guys, Cam Allen, who I'm sure fans sometimes are frustrated, but also this is a guy that's got, I think, 13 career interceptions, and that doesn't happen by accident. He played a lot early. Obviously, he seems to be a guy that's always around the football. Even a lot of tip balls seem to dismiss him. What has he meant, just as a leader and just as a guy that can get you a big turnover in a key moment?
Yeah, well, I've been, Cam, his role from a year ago to now has changed just with the style of play. And, by nature, the ball can find him, you know what I mean? And we just, with the personnel the last couple weeks, that's why his role has been a little bit diminished, because we've seen more 12 personnel than we have 11 here lately. But he has improved as the year's gone on. I feel like he's trusted the technique, and as a result, his play has improved. And, his effort is improved as well. So I think he sees the importance of buying in 100%, you know what I mean, in order to have success, and that's why I think he's been playing better lately.
Do you think this team has kind of flipped from, nothing against Coach Braum or anything, but you guys are different personality-wise? Do you think this team has molded into more of your personality as the season has gone on?
Yeah, I think so. We're still not all the way there yet. But I do think the guys enjoy being in the building because they know what they're going to get every day. They know they're going to be held accountable, but at the same time, we're going to treat them fairly, right? You can't treat everybody the same because they're all different individuals, but they know what they're going to get from the staff and from the strength and conditioning program. And we have done things to try to improve the environment and improve the way we take care of them, off the field. And I think they have appreciated that as well. So, the culture is great in the locker room, which is why, guys have been fighting all year, regardless of the record. And I think a lot of guys are excited about what's to come.
Has Zion Steptoe had any experience playing defense in high school or anything like that? How difficult has been the transition, I guess, and for him to elevate and get good so quickly at switching roles.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited about, his progress and his potential at corner. Another guy that, puts the team first all the time. He's selfless, works really hard, and I think his skill set, it elevates on the defensive side of the ball. And so, like, to see his, I think we made that move 3 weeks ago. Played a little bit in the Michigan game. Didn't really play in the Minnesota game, and then you could kind of see the light turn on in terms of understanding the scheme and why we're playing with certain techniques. And I thought he played his tail off against Northwestern. So he's only going to continue to improve, and I'm glad he's in that room now.
And then with guys like Nick Scorton and Hudson Card, is that a situation where you find out Thursday if they're good to go this week, or do you know now what their status is?
I would anticipate both of them being available, which is awesome. We need them. You know what I mean? And but I was also very impressed with Corday's production and what he was able to do on Saturday.
Just with respect to Indiana, what challenges? The quarterbacks played better of late. They've lost 2 close games here recently. What do you see in the Hoosiers?
Yeah, like you said, they're playing their best ball toward the end of the year. They got a lot of experienced guys up front offensively. Quarterback's a tough, bigger guy that can run around and throws a good deep ball. Running backs are big, powerful, Big Ten type backs. So one's like 6'3", 240. The other one is 5'11", 225. Like big bruiser type backs. They got a lot of length on the outside, and then they got a speedy slot / running back guy number 12. So I think they do a good job of utilizing their personnel and getting into different formations that are unique, within that personnel grouping. And their run game and pass game complement each other. So you got to have your eyes in the right spot all the time. And their guys on the outside do a great job of winning the 50-50 balls. Defensively, they're multiple. They're aggressive. So they pose problems that way. And they're long on the secondary as well. So it's a good football team, and it's going to be a rivalry game. The atmosphere is going to be awesome, and so it's going to be a tough and physical game for sure. And so to me, it's how disciplined can we play, how clean can we play, will be the telltale by the end of the game.
Have you run into Tom Allen? Obviously, you've coached him over the years at Illinois, et cetera. But talk about him and what he brings to their program.
He's a great guy. He's very familiar with the state. With the high school background, defensive mind. So I always pay attention to defensive guys, and I've been impressed with his career and what he's been able to do. But he's an old school, hard nosed, does everything by the book type guy. I got a lot of respect for him.
Ryan, Tyrone Tracy went down late, looked like his back. Any update on him?
I think he'll be fine. He's sore. Both him and Mock were sore after the game. That's 2 weeks where they've done the workload and have played really well. So they're just sore like they should be going into the last game of the season.
Maybe we could talk after the game, but just already peeking ahead, December 4th, the portal opens. To just talk about maybe if you've already, I'm sure, evaluated maybe some areas of need that you would focus on there.
Yeah. Obviously I think we need to get bigger up front offensively. I would anticipate us going to get a couple transfer portal wide receivers. Defensively, we lose, 2 interior D linemen. I would anticipate us addressing that. It also kind of depends on who's coming back as well, on what, what holes we'll need to fill. But like I said, we've gotten some donor support lately, and I'm excited about the resources we have to be able to address the needs we have.
And then as far as attrition goes, a lot of guys left last year. Any sense that there could be a lot of guys, I guess, leaving West Lafayette?
There's always every year there's probably a couple that surprise you, and some others that don't surprise you. You know what I mean? And ultimately, like I've told all our guys, like you got to do what's best for yourself individually at the end of the year. I think a lot of guys see what we're doing and want to be a part of it. And so I anticipate the guys that we want to stay will stay, and the guys that want to leave will leave. And it's nothing personal. I won't take it personal, but I am excited about the future, and I know a lot of those guys in the locker room are excited as well.
23 high school commitments right now, class of 2024. How much do you see that growing before that early signing day begins December 20th?
Maybe by a couple spots. I'm really happy with the high school guys that we have committed. They're all playing really well. A lot of them are still playing, like they're going deep in the postseason, and that's a bonus when you get guys that are used to playing winning football. And a lot of those guys are leaders on their team, so just from a psyche standpoint, they're hard-nosed and love football for football. So really excited about that group. And, right now the only couple that we might take would be like difference maker type potential high school guys. Any others that we'll take will be either junior college or transfer portal.
And just lastly, you alluded twice to being happy with the resources that you've got. So as to say, you're pleased with where things are at now with the Boilermaker Alliance?
Yeah, there's some things that are happening, as we speak, and so yeah, I'm excited.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thanks. Nah, I think he's in Hawaii right now, ain't he? Tim.